Hi and welcome to the first video of a 3-part series which is all designed around giving you exercises to do at home, working on building strength, stability and mobility so that you can feel strong and resilient and ultimately maximise your enjoyment in the mountains. So all of these exercises are going to move through a flow. You can do this with minimal equipment at home. I've got a mat and a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can simply use some books, or you could use cushions as well as cues. We're going to start down on the back on the mat. So if you take one of your blocks or cushions with you, bring it lengthways between the inner thighs. From there, allow the back of the head to be fully rested on the mat, feet planted to the floor. We're going to bring the hands to the rib cage. Think about fanning the ribs together, keeping that core container strong as you press through the feet, lifting up into a glute bridge. In our glute bridge, we're squeezing the glute max muscles, the big flat muscles, and then lowering down, upper back, middle back, lower back. Reversing that movement, so again, tapping the tailbone, pressing through the feet, squeezing the glutes to lift the hips, and then lowering down to the mat. So here we're really focusing on activating the glute max, which is the biggest of the glutes muscles. Really key for hiking and snowshoeing. It gives us that power to propel forward, to drive up hills. It also acts as a stabiliser, so it's key for stabilising the lower back, the pelvis, if we're walking on uneven terrain. And it's important we have the glutes activated and strong. If we don't, we can sometimes compensate elsewhere, so the hamstrings, calves, etc. So if you wanted to do a couple of exercises before you went out for a big hike, this would be a great one to add in. Activating the glutes means they'll be kicking in, working for you as you're hiking, powering yourself uphill, making the movement more efficient, and also helping with injury prevention. We're going to lift the hips up, checking that the pelvis is staying steady as we go into some glute pulses. So dropping the hips halfway towards the mat and then squeezing back up again. Halfway drop, squeeze to lift. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing there, taking the block out of the way and bringing it underneath the pelvis. So you're in a supported bridge now. From there, you're going to extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. Thinking about flexing the toes towards the face and then pointing the toes towards the ceiling. So immobilising the ankle, taking that ankle joint through plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, and activating the muscles around the lower leg. These muscles are really important for our ankle stability as we're hiking, but also active to help with injury prevention too. So the muscles controlling that dorsiflexion as the toes draws towards you really help with lifting the toes and planting the foot. It also helps decelerate us as we're walking downhill. The calf muscle is really important in that propulsion phase of pressing off through the toes. From there, we're going to bend the knee, have the knee over the hip, place a hand onto the thigh, actively draw the knee in towards the chest as you press away with the hand. Just doing that without moving, you should feel your core start to light up. Thinking about pressing through the planted foot and perhaps lifting up slightly off the block. So just a small movement here, but increasing the demand in those left glutes, increasing the demand through the core, holding strong, and then lowering the hips back down onto that block or cushion. Extending the opposite leg up towards the ceiling. And in this position, don't worry if your knee is more bent. If you have tight hamstrings, that's absolutely fine. From there, bringing the toes towards the face, and then pointing away from you. taking the ankles straight up, straight down, activating those muscles around the lower leg. Great, bending the knee, having the knee over the hip. Again, press into that thigh as you actively draw the knee in towards the chest. Pausing there. Thinking about pressing through the grounded foot to lift up slightly off the block. Really engaging the right glute now. Lighting up the core, holding strong there. Great, lowering back down. Both feet plant towards the mat. Lifting the hips up. And then bringing the block or cushion lengthwise again between the inner thighs. And drawing the knees up above the hips. I'm going to take the arms out wide and control the knees over to one side, back through centre, across to the opposite. So you're thinking about keeping the shoulder blades planted on the mat here, using that core strength to rotate, particularly working the oblique muscles here. Play a key part in stabilising the torso, helping rotational movement. Coming back to centre, taking the block out of the way and just keeping it nearby. We're turning sideways on the mat now. So in this side lying position, we have the knees bent, heels in line with the hips. We're focusing now on activating and strengthening the outside of the hips, so more of the lateral glute muscles, glute med. We're going to hover the ankles off the ground. From there, keeping the torso strong, so we're avoiding rocking back, keeping this position here as we lift and lower that top knee. So a classic clamshell here, really great for activating glute med, which plays a key role in stabilising the pelvis as we're walking, which helps with the biomechanics of the leg. It stops the knee from overly caving inwards, so a really big player in injury prevention. Pausing there, dropping the bottom leg, extending the top leg out, point the toes forward in the direction you're looking, and then lift and lower that whole leg in line with the body. Again, focusing on activating the outside of the hip. Lowering that top leg down. Coming into a forearm plank position. So we can have the planks, the arms down onto the mat, forearms on the mat, tucking the toes, and a feeling of scooping the tailbone under slightly. Press the ground away. You should feel your core start to light up already. Option to stay there, or option to tuck the toes and lift the knees up off the mat. In your plank, thinking about having the head lifted, in line with the shoulders, in line with the back line. Engaging the glutes to help with the core strength. Holding strong here. So our core strength really is the foundation of strength and control for the whole body. We want to build endurance through the core for whole days out on the mountain, carrying a backpack, maintaining that posture to resist fatigue. Drop the knees and pause there. We're going to roll on to the opposite side. I'm just going to turn around so I'm facing you. So inside lying, facing the right, bending the knees, having the hips in line with shoulders. Working on those outside hip muscles here, so hovering the ankles off the floor. Lifting and lowering that top knee. You do this a few times and these movements start to feel easy into around 10 to 15 repetitions. You can always add in a resistance band, placing a resistance band above the knees. From there, lowering and extending the top leg. Point the toes forward as you lift and lower, keeping the leg in line with the body. And again, make sure you're not rolling forward or backwards, keeping the core strong and that movement coming from the hip. Great, pausing there. So we have the feet forward on the mat. We're going to come up into a seated position, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, fingertips to face outwards. From there, pressing through the feet, squeezing the glutes and lifting up into a reverse tabletop, and then dropping the hips back down. So again, we're after the activation through the big glute max muscles. Hopefully you can feel them firing a bit more quickly as we've already activated them with our glute bridges. We're opening out across the chest. Three more reps there. Bringing the hips all the way back towards the hands. And finding your way into a tabletop position. So coming into a hands and knees position, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You can use that block or a cushion here for a cue for some feedback by placing it on the lower back. Then come into some bent knee hip circles. So on the left side, taking that knee out to the side, back up and round, and then down towards the floor. So the block is here so you're not kind of rotating through the back to get the movement, keeping it isolated to the hip, smooth and controlled. And then switch it up, opposite direction, bringing that knee up, out and around. Extending the leg back behind you and bringing the toes down towards the floor. From there we're going to rock forward and backwards. So think about mobilising the ankle, all the joints in the foot. And a feeling of pressing off that big toe. Okay, pausing there. Lifting and lowering that back leg. Tapping the toes towards the floor, lifting it back up in line with the body. Just feel the left glute max muscle working hard to get that hip extension movement. At the same time, keeping the core strong. So you can place a hand on the belly and have a feeling of lifting the belly up rather than dipping to get that movement of the leg. Planting the toes behind you, taking the block or cushion off your back. Placing it under the right hand as we turn sideways into a modified side plank position. So we have the right knee down, the toes behind. Left foot towards the back of the mat as you reach the top hand up and over into a big side stretch. Sweeping the top hand down and finding the top rim of the pelvis. From there you lift and lower that back leg, That same hip abduction move we were working on in side lying. More demand now for strength and stability as we make our way up off the mat. Keep the leg lifted as you bring the toes towards you and then the toes away from you. So back to that ankle, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. At the same time, we're keeping the leg lifted and working on that lateral hip strength. Draw the toes towards you as you step that foot all the way through to the top of the mat, coming into a low lunge position. So in our low lunge, we're in a 1990 low lunge, so avoiding that kind of tendency to go too deep and anteriorly tilt the pelvis. Staying up higher to keep that neutral pelvis. Tuck the back toes under if you can, so you're getting a plantar flexion, a stretch for the plantar fascia of that bottom of the foot as well. Reaching the hands up high. From your low lunge, sweep the left hand behind. You can even feel that the glutes are engaged with your hands as you bring the fingertips towards the sky and then side bend to your left. Back to centre of that top hand. Bring both hands forward to frame the front foot. We're stepping back into a tabletop position here. So from our tabletop position, bringing the block or cushion back onto the lower back. We're moving on to the opposite side now. So with the opposite leg, the right knee here, out to the side, back to centre, round in that smooth, controlled hip circle. And then switching it up opposite direction. Extending that leg back behind you as you tuck the toes towards the floor. From there, rocking forward and backwards, mobilising that ankle, pressing off the big toe, to get that feeling of propulsion forward. From there, pausing as you lift and lower that back leg. So exactly the same here, after that glute max activation on the right side. The feeling of keeping that core container strong and lifted, and that movement isolated to the hip extension of the right leg. Pausing there, as you take the block off the back, bring it under the left hand, kicks down the left toes off the mat, coming into a modified side plank position here, reaching the top hand up and over. Swooping that top hand down, finding the top rim of the pelvis as you lift and lower that back leg. Again, that same hip abduction movement from our side, keeping the leg in line with the body. And if you want to come up higher onto your books or block, feel free to do so here. Keeping that leg lifted as you bring the toes towards you and toes away from you. Toes draw towards you as you step that foot all the way through to the top of the mat, coming into a low lunge position here. So exactly the same, thinking 19-19 or low lunge, tucking the back toes under to stretch the bottom of the foot, and then reaching the hands up high. From your low lunge, sweep the right hand behind. Find the top of the left glutes. Again, feel that activated. And the more you keep your glutes active here, the more you'll be able to stretch the front of the hip flexor as well. Reach the left fingertips towards the sky and then side bend to your right. Coming back to centre, both hands come down, frame that front foot and step back into a tabletop position once more. So from here we're going to find our way into an extended arm plank. So any problems with your wrists, please come down onto your forearms. You feel okay up here. Thinking about the alignment of keeping your head lifted in line with the back line of the body. As you step back with the left leg, step back with the right leg. Holding that plank position strong. Feel the demand through the core. Also through the shoulder girdle. Stepping with the left, stepping with the right. Once again, step back with the right, step back with the left. Lowering the knees, and then lowering slowly all the way down to the mat with control. When you get to the top of the mat, you're going to bring the arms into a goalpost position, this 90-90 kind of cactus position with the arms. And before you lift up off the mat, think about having the glutes engaged and the feeling of lifting the belly up off the floor. Keep that feeling as you draw the shoulder blades together, and then inhale to lift the head, chest and legs up off the mat, strengthening the whole back line of the body. Exhale, lower. Hands under the shoulders as you press back, child's pose back with the mat, and pause there. Taking a rest in child's pose. So if you're short on time, you can practice that strengthening floor-based sequence by itself. Or if you'd like to, we're going to continue that now into more of a standing flow, working on building some more strength and dynamic balance. So from your child's pose, bring the hands flat to the mat. Tucking the toes under, hover the knees, and then lift the hips up high, coming into a down dog position here. So in this down dog position, have the knees bent to lift the hips up, and then pedal the feet by dropping one heel and then the other heel towards the mat. Stretching the calves, stretching the back line of the legs. And then pausing in that down dog as you walk the hands back towards the feet. Forward fold back with the mat. So you have the knees bent and hips back in space to allow the torso to almost rest on the thighs. You can allow the head to hang if that feels okay to do so. If it feels uncomfortable, bring your hands to clasp and then just rest your forehead on your hands. From that forward fold position, start to press through your feet. Slowly roll up to stand, take your time. As you lift your head up, sweep the hands up high. And then back to your side. We're stepping forward towards the top of the mat. I'm going to use these two blocks here. If you have a step at home, bottom step to the staircase works well. Really working on some calf raises off the bottom of that step. So standing on the step with the heels lowered, using the banister or a wall for balance, we're going to rise straight up and then all the way back down, dropping the heels all the way off the step. Straight up. So looking at strengthening the calves, a really key part of hiking and having that power for uphill. We're looking at the ankle going straight up and straight down. So particularly if you've ever had any ankle injuries previously or any instability at the ankle, it's quite normal for the ankle to want to swing out to kind of compensate that lack of stability. So just check what your ankles are doing and focusing on going straight up, straight down as you rise up into that calf raise and lower the heel all the way off the set. When you're doing these calf raises, aiming for around 10 to 15 repetitions. We're then going to pause and bend the knees. So in this bent knee position, exactly the same feeling of lifting up into that calf raise and then slowly lowering the heels off the set. So now we're just looking at a slightly different muscle in the calf, the soleus muscle, which is at the bottom part of the calf and has a role in that press off with the knee bend. So clearly you're going to need this a lot as we're walking and hiking uphill. And it's a fairly small muscle, so if you're not used to big ascents, then it's really important that you strengthen this before you head out into the mountains. So again, aiming for around 10 to 15 repetitions with the knees bent as well. So once you've done your reps there, stepping off the mat, coming towards the top of the mat here and pausing. We're going to shift the weight into the left leg as we draw the right knee up above the hip. From there, press down with your hand as you draw the knee up towards the sky. Feel the increased demand and stability of the standing leg. It's that same feeling as when we're on our back at the start. The leg's not moving anywhere. We have a lot of isometric contraction in terms of pressing up and pressing down, working on the balance and stability of the ankle. From there, step back into a high lunge. We have a bend in that back knee to be able to keep the pelvis neutral. We have the front knee tracking forward over the toes as we rise the hands up. So here we're going to be looking at eccentric strengthening of the quadricep muscles, which means they strengthen as they lengthen. So from here we're going to slowly lower the back knee towards the ground and then quickly rise to stand. Slowly lower, take your time. Quickly rise back up. Two more reps there. Pause in that high lunge. We're going to turn 180 to shift our weight side to side in these high side lunges. Sitting the weight back into the heels, using that strength to press off. Turning to face the top of the mat once more. So we're in a shortened high lunge position. We're going to press off the back toes and find our way into a balance. So pressing off the back toes here, back on the mat. Option to pause here, focusing on keeping that strength and control, challenging the standing leg, or you can lift that leg up and line with the body, keeping a bend in that standing knee. And then drive the knee towards the chest. From there, take the left hand towards that right knee and open the right hand behind you into a twist. Sweep that front back hand forward and step down top of the mat. Moving on to the opposite side, So shifting the weight into that right leg. Bring the left knee up in line with the hip. Again, a feeling of pressing down with the hand as you draw the knee up towards the sky. Step back with control, finding your way into that high lunge position. So from here you have a bend in that back knee and take the stance that feels right for you. So you don't want to feel overly stretched with the hip flexor. A position where you can feel like you have some balance and control. You can also use a wall or a chair to help you with these split squat slow lowers. So exactly the same as the other side. We're thinking about slowing down the lower and then quickly rising up. So taking your time, back knee towards the floor, and then rise up to stand. Five more reps there. Slow down the lower, working on lengthening and strengthening those muscles. The front knee stays tracking forward over the toes. Just watch, particularly as you fatigue, it's not wanting to cave inwards. If so, resist that and draw it out. Keep it tracking forward. Last slow lower there, take your time. And then quickly rise. Turning sideways into high side lunges, facing the opposite side of the mat. Shifting weight side to side, bringing the hips back in space to really recruit the glutes to help with that lateral movement. Okay, pausing to centre, facing the top of the mat. Slightly shortened high lunge position here. You know where we're going now. We're going to come into that balance. So pressing off the back toes, hovering the back leg. Option to stay there, just hovering the left toes off the floor, or bring that leg in line with the body into that standing T balance. Keeping a slight bend in that standing knee. And then drive that knee towards the chest. Taking hold of that left knee with the right hand and standing twist there. Reach the opposite hand towards the back of the room. Option to look back towards that hand for more of a balance challenge. Sweep that hand forward, step both feet down. For the top of the mat, inhale, reach both hands up towards the sky. Bend the knees, bring the hips back in space, and step back to your down dog. So pedaling the feet there in the down dog. And then rolling through to that extended arm plank. So the same strength of the alignment as we found earlier. Head lifted in line with the shoulders, in line with the pelvis. If this is too intense, drop the knees. From there, option to drop the knees or keep them lifted as you lower slowly onto the mat with control all the way down to your front. From there, bringing the arms into goal pose. Engage the glutes and lift the belly as you draw the shoulder blades together and lift up head, chest, legs. Exhale, lower. Hands under the shoulders. Press back the child's pose back of the mat and pausing there. Okay, so that is all for today for the first session. There is going to be a second session as a follow-up, which is going to provide you with some progressions from today And the third session will be a recovery stretching focus flow. So look forward to seeing you then.